Let's get some more reaction to what we're seeing unfolding across the country. COSATU has condemned violent incidents in the ongoing public sector strike. This comes after several reports of destruction of property by striking workers. For more on this now, we're joined virtually from here in Johannesburg by COSATU's national spokesperson, Sizwe Pamla. Sizwe, thank you so much for your time. Your organization has sent out a statement condemning some of the incidents that we've seen unfolding over the last few days. I'm sure you would have seen a bit of the reporting from my colleague just outside Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. I think you'd agree that that is not a situation that can go on for much longer.
Well, indeed. Look, our position is very clear. This is a legitimate strike. So any conduct that we have seen where people are destroying property and assaulting other workers is really delegitimizing a legitimate fight. We totally support the workers. We agree with them that they are dealing with an intransigent employer, but we reiterate our position and we urge them to make sure that they do not undermine their cause. They are fighting a good cause, but when they start to use coercion instead of persuasion, they are really undermining a very good cause. We have been making a call for some time now, urging government to say the way they are mismanaging industrial relations in the public service is going to have consequences. And we reiterate that call again now to say, can government reconvene all stakeholders, meet the unions at the PSCPC, try to find an amicable solution to avoid a full-blown strike, because it is not good for workers, it is not good for the economy, it is not good for communities.
We're talking there about the little hotspots that we've had reported on over the last few days. We've seen destruction of some property. There was an incident, I think, outside Home Affairs in Cape Town where there seemed to have been some kind of altercation or standoff between members of the public and those who were protesting, because obviously members of the public normally would have been standing in those lines for some time and getting more and more frustrated with not being able to be served. But where do you stand on essential services that have been disrupted? We do know that there was an interdict against the strike for that very reason, which is now being appealed, or now was approached the Labour Appeal Court to appeal it. But where do you stand in terms of the focus on essential services where many have ground to a halt?
Look, it goes back to the point I made about mismanaging industrial relations. This is nothing new, the issue of essential service. Government has always tried to use courts to bully workers into submission. By now, we should have a minimum service level agreement where there is an understanding as to who is allowed to take to the streets and who is not allowed to take to the street in case of a strike. This is an issue we dealt with during the public service strike of 2010. It was also an issue during the 2007 public service strike. Government is reluctant to actually conclude this issue because they hope that they can use courts to just bully workers into submission and undermine collective bargaining. But our position as a federation is that we urge our unions to sit down with those who are managing these health facilities and make a local arrangement, which means let the CEOs meet with union representatives, sit down and agree that in health facilities, people who are coming in for appointment, for surgery appointments should be allowed to come in, and all of those workers should be allowed to proceed with those surgeries. Maternity wards, no one should be allowed to participate in a strike in maternity wards. Emergency wards, ambulance workers, all of those workers should be allowed to continue to work, and they should actually be protected. But workers should also continue to mobilize and take to the streets. This is an arrangement that now needs to be managed at a local level, because national governments and provincial governments who are responsible actually when it comes to health facilities are not prepared to actually compromise with workers. As a result, they are the architects of the mess that we are witnessing.
What are you hoping will happen next? We're now into day 3. What are you hoping will happen next?
Well, we're hoping that the employer is going to be woken from the slumber to reconvene unions and meet at PSCPC to try and find an amicable solution. That's the only solution that is available right now. Because if you remember, these workers received a certificate of non-resolution last year. They reluctantly started mobilizing for a strike, hoping that prevail. That responsibility to lead were going to provide leadership. And early 2022, they made a call again to say, look, can we go and put this issue to bed so that we can reopen the 2023 round of wage negotiations without any response from government. So this is really the incompetence of those who are leading, who are failing to manage industrial relations and who think they can use law enforcement agencies and use courts to bully workers. They've been doing this since 2020 when they reneged on Resolution 1 of 2018. We reiterate this call. As a federation, we have already written to the relevant ministers. The leadership is trying to ensure that there are some political discussions to find an amicable solution. But we reiterate that National Treasury, working with DPSA and other relevant departments, needs to go back to PSCPC, sit down with workers, engage and find a middle ground.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. COSATU spokesperson Sizwe Pamla talking to us there about the ongoing public sector wage strike and speak to us virtually from here in Joburg. We thank him for his time. We'll have more news after this. Stay with us.